Hey, what is up guys? jburton here, and today I'm bringing you the next part of my Shadow Priest PvP guide for 6.2.3, and this is part 2, which will include rotations and cooldowns, and a little bit of survivability, but we know Shadow Priests do not have much survivability. Alright, so let's get into it. Now, right now I should have a big black picture showing you my priority for spells. So, Mind Blast first. Before dots, Mind Blast. We're gonna get that on cooldown and get our Shadow Orb, and it does decent, decent damage. So, Mind Blast first. Next, when that's on cooldown, we're gonna apply both of our dots, our Vampiric Touch and our Shadow Word Pain. Now these, you want to maintain 100% uptime on the targets you're DPSing. Now, in a 3 environment, sometimes you're only going to have them on 2 targets and sometimes 3 targets. What I mean is, sometimes you're just going to CC one target through the entire match, for the most part, so you don't want to dot them. Or if you're running like with a Unholy DK, you're not really CC heavy, you're just going to be dotting everybody. So it depends on your comp, but whatever it is, make sure you have dots up 100% of the time. Okay, so when your Mind Blast is on cooldown, and your dots are up, next, you want to use Mind Spike if and only if you have a Surge of Darkness proc, which is, if you don't know what that does, your Vampiric Touch and your Devouring Plague have a 12% chance to make your next Mind Spike, not consume your dots, be instant, and deal 50% more damage. This is when you will use that. Only if you got the Surge of Darkness proc. Then you're going to use Cascade to get that on cooldown. Then Mindfully. Mindfully is the last thing you want to do. It's just a filler to do a little bit of damage while your main abilities are on cooldown. So just to recap, Mind Blast first, dots up, Mind Spike if Surge of Darkness proc, Cascade, Mindfully. That is your overall general DPS rotation. Now, when you're bursting, you can't always do this, but you want to have 5 Shadow Orbs up. Well, the reason why I say this is because you want to be able to get 2 Devouring Plagues off. You can do that if you have 5 Shadow Orbs and a Mind Blast off cooldown. So, well first, you should be human. I hate saying that. This will go away in Legion, but you should be human with double DPS trinkets. 1 proc trinket and 1 use trinket. When your proc trinket is up, you'll pop your use trinket, maybe your Vampiric Embrace if you need to get heals off. Then you're going to use your Devouring Plague on 1 target, Mind Blast, so you're back up to 3 Shadow Orbs. Either Devouring Plague on a second target for multiple burst, or multiple target burst, or just reapply your Devouring Plague on the same target if you're just going for a kill on that 1 target. And then of course, don't forget to fit in your Shadow Fiend. We don't need mana from it. We don't run out of mana unless we spam Flash of Light. So, add your Shadow Fiend into your burst. And that is pretty much your overall burst. The reason why it's not that big of a deal is because we don't really burst that much. Or, well, most of our damage just comes from our consistent DPS. We have high consistent DPS. Okay. And then of course, when the target's about to die, when they're below 20% health, you absolutely need to Shadow Word Death. I recommend even also macroing your use trinket into your Shadow Word Death. Just for a bigger hit. Alright, so that's for the overall rotations. Let's talk about cooldowns. More so in the survivability first. Okay, so Power Word Shield. If you're being DPS'd, and you can bet your ass... Sorry, I just cussed, didn't I? If I hurt anybody's feelings, I apologize. You can bet your bottom that you're going to be getting DPS'd. Shadow Priests don't have that much survivability. They die pretty easily. People love to attack Shadow Priests. So, Power Word Shield every time your Weakened Soul debuff falls off. It's not a big absorb, but it'll help your healer out quite a bit. And of course, don't forget to use your Angelic Feathers to help get away from targets, or help your teammates get away from targets. You gotta help your teammates out as well. And then we have Fade. You should be using the Glyph of Fade, which is a 10% damage reduction every time you use Fade for 10 seconds. Pretty helpful. And then we got Spectral Guise. You should be using this to help, try to get away for a few seconds. As a Shadow Priest, I don't recommend really using this for fears. I mean, you could if you're having a lot of trouble getting a fear off, but you need Spectral Guys to stay alive. Disc Priests use it for fears because, well, they don't really need Spectral Guys for that much for survivability, and they have a harder time getting fears off than Shadow Priest. Why? Because we have Psychic Horror. Psychic Horror makes it a lot easier to get that CC off. The reason why is the target will be incapacitated for 4 seconds, assuming you use it with 3 Shadow Orbs. A little side note, your dots will not break Psychic Horror. Pretty cool. So anyways, you'll Psychic Horror somebody, run to them, and they're all freaking out. They're like, oh my god, he's going to fear me. Oh my god, he's going to fear me. And then next thing you know, they get feared. They're like, oh, I called it. As soon as the fear wears off, if it's the healer, drop that silence on them. That's a pretty big chain CC just from one character. And you can repeat this like every, every 30 seconds? Yeah, every 30 seconds you can do this big chain CC. Okay, nope, 35. Every 35, because Psychic Core is 35-second cooldown. So that's a great chain C that you really want to utilize. Psychic Core into Fear into Silence. Okay, Dispersion. This is our main ability for staying alive. The enemy team, as soon as they see your Dispersion, they get a big grin on their face. Like, oh, yep, he did it. He did it. He's done now. As soon as we lose Dispersion, we have nothing really. You need to save this as long as you can. And do not pop this without your healer's consent. The reason why. You do not want your healer to be CC'd, so you're getting wrecked. Then your healer uses Trinket and then pops like some decent cooldown, and then you Dispersioned. You just wasted some cooldowns there. So you need to be aggressive with it, like, hey man, should I Dispersion? You got me? You good? Keep asking. And they will let you know. You can wait almost to the last second because you take 90% less damage. So it's pretty helpful. Now you can still die in Dispersion, but it's really hard. So get your healer's consent first. And then of course, Leap of Faith. A lot of times your healer might get focused, like they'll switch to your healer. Get a nice Leap of Faith, but let your healer know first off, because they could be casting a big heal, and it's about to go off, and then you just interrupted it. And they have dots on them, and they die by the time they get to you. So be careful with that. Okay, I think I covered pretty much everything. It doesn't take long to talk about Shadow Priest survivability. There's not much. Let me recap, though. So Dispersion is our main ability, 2-minute cooldown. Ask your healer when you should use it. Don't just pop it when you think you need to, okay? Don't panic pop it. Don't do it. Spectral Guys, try not to use it for getting your fear off. Try not to. Use it for surviving. Or avoiding CC. That's also nice too. Your Vampiric Embrace, I forgot to mention. Sometimes your healer may just need some help healing, and you're not bursting. But you could still pop this and get some decent healing going off. So have your healer call out when they need that as well. Alright guys, well if you enjoyed the video, hit that subscribe button. I try to get videos out as much as possible. I still have a lot of content I want to cover before Legion. And then of course when Legion comes out, I'm going to have an overwhelming amount of content I have to cover. Because I'm going to be playing every single class in PvP and every single spec. And trying to get these guides out to you guys. Alright, see you guys.